Shalom, giving all praise to my Heavenly Father. His name is Yahweh, by Yashem, Yahweh Shah, by Yashem, Wakah Radash. Double honors to the apostles and elders everywhere. Peace, many salutations to Yakyam that's toiling in his truth. I was watching this gentleman's page here. It's Valuetainment. And he was going into how if you are planning to stay in California, if you live there, then there's several things that you need to be ready for to combat. And that's extremely high cost of living, violence, policies that's not advantageous for businesses. And that's just to name a few. That's some that he named, but there's even more. There's even more. Not to mention the draconian laws that are being set in place. I believe they're going under a mass mandate again this Friday. He said this Friday. This video was made 2 days ago. So with everything that's going on in California, this is going to cause a mass exodus, not only here not only in the state of California, but in numerous places. But one that's the most blatant is California. This is the sign. This is a sign of the times. The displacement of many people because of high unemployment rates, cost of living being astronomical, social unrest. This shows you that a collapse in the U.S. is very close when you see instability like you see in California. Okay, so us, that's in the know, we're measuring the time diligently, and we understand that things are going to get bad out here with the displacements of all these people from California. They're going to places like Idaho, Washington. Well, actually, Idaho. I don't know about Washington. Washington's pretty expensive too. Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, of course, and numerous other places. Man, this is causing a spike in the cost of living in these various states that they're going to, on top of inflation. So California is just the first state to collapse in the U.S. And we're going to see more states as it gets worse out here. We're going to see more states not doing so well. Okay, so let me play this for you guys, and then we'll get a couple of scriptures. Okay.
Live in LA, say you live in San Francisco, say you live in Chicago, say you live in any place and you say I don't care if people are living in Florida, I don't care if people are living in Texas, I don't care if they're going to Tennessee, anywhere. I am not leaving this state. Perfect. If that's you, there's two things you have to keep in mind specifically for those of you that have no plans of leaving your state or your country. Now, I'm going to make my argument to you. If it makes sense and I get you thinking, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. So let's get right into it. Last week I'm in LA. I'm giving a speech at Lowe's Hotel in Santa Monica. There's 400 people in the audience, and I open up the speech. Right off the bat, I hit the stage. I asked this question. I said, how many of you have no plans of leaving the state of California the next 3 to 5 years? And people are kind of startled by that question, so no one's really participating. I said, let me ask this question one more time. I said, there's a lot of things that's going on right now, and I'm asking you a specific question. How many of you love your state so much that you have no plans of leaving the state of California the next 3 to 5 years? You saw 70% of hands that went up. I said, perfect, no problem. I said, how many of you have plans of leaving the state of California? You're already looking at different places based on what happened the last 12 to 24 months. You see 30%. Well, that's a pretty big number, but you saw 30% raise hand saying, yeah, we're kind of looking to see where we're going to go next. I said, no problem. I said, today, I just want to talk to the people that want to stay in the state of California. They said, great. I said, if you're staying in the state of California, here's what you're saying. You're okay with having the highest gas prices in America. You're okay with having all-in taxes, state, gas, sales. You have the highest amongst everybody in America. You're okay with high taxes. You're okay with high crime. You're okay with high homelessness. consciousness. You're okay with high regulation. You're okay with high control. I think they're about to go on masks again on this Friday, LA. You're okay with all that. Are you still okay with all of that? And see kind of them looking to the left. I said, it's totally fine if you're still okay with that. They're like, yes, sir, perfect. If you still are planning on staying in the state of California, let me tell you 2 things you need to be ready for. What's that? Last night, I had dinner with my entertainment lawyer in LA at Cross Stations. This is when I'm giving a speech. It was the night before. I said, my lawyer, Michael, let's call him, he says to me, he says, Patrick, I bought a house in Van Nuys. It's like right by Toluca Lake, Van Nuys. He said, I bought this place. It's less than 2,000 square feet. The house should be $600,000-$700,000. It just sold for $1.8 million. I said, what are you talking about? He says, it's only 3 bedrooms, and it sold for 1.8. I says, I'm a lawyer. Okay, fine, maybe I can afford it. How is somebody supposed to buy that house? I don't understand it. I said, 1.8 million? I says, $1.8 million. I said, okay. How many guys got a family with 2 or 3 kids and husband and wife living together? They raised their hands. I said, great. So 2,000 square foot house, 3 bedroom, 2 bath, $1.8 million. I said, what does it take to buy a $1.8 million house? I asked one of the realtors, they get up, they said, we need to put 10% down, which is what, 180. I said, great. I said, how many of you here have $180,000 in savings to put a down payment? I said, don't answer that, but just think about it. How many middle income families have $180K to put on a down payment of a house? They don't raise their hands. I said, okay, fine. So you got $1.62 million that you're financing. I said, what's the average mortgage payment on today's rates? 5.7. I think it just went up right now while I'm talking to you, another 3/4 of a basis point. I said, what's the payment on a, $1.6 million house at 6%? She says around $12,000, principal, insurance, tax, everything included. I said, is that $12,000 a month pre-tax money or after-tax money? Everybody's kind of like quiet. They said after-tax money. I said, perfect. So to net $12,000 in the state of California, what do I need to make pre-tax to keep $12K? She says around $20,000, 40% taxes, you keep 12. I said, no problem. So I need to make $20,000 to afford to pay $12,000 payment on a house that's barely 2,000 square feet and it's 3 bedroom, 2 bath. Yes, no problem. I said, historically, it's been said, whatever mortgage payment.
You see that now? He's talking about a house that's 2,000 square foot. That's nothing, man. A 3 bedroom, two bathroom, and you only pay, and you gotta pay 1.6 million for that. You could get the same house, depending on the location down here in Texas, for about a little over 300,000. Back in this 5-6 years ago, you get that same house, something that's bigger than that, for 200,000. That's why you see a mass exodus. A lot of people moving out of California because it's more bang for their buck. And also, what people aren't talking about, which I find intriguing, is the trucking industry took a very, very, very mighty blow a few weeks ago, because California regulated to where if you're an owner operator in California, you basically can't operate there anymore. So not only the cost of living is going up, but goods and things of that nature are going to be heavily restricted within getting in these certain stores. So it seemed like, for me, it seemed like they're just pulling. And somebody said this, and it registered with me. It seemed like they're pulling the plug on California. They want it to be just for the elite, which seems plausible to me because the cost of living is so freaking high. But for the regular common folk, this is gonna, a lot of people are gonna be displaced, and we've seen, people being displaced, because of famine in the scriptures. So I'm gonna give you guys an example. Genesis 41 and 47. And in the 7 plenteous years, the earth brought forth by handfuls. Now, this is the time period when Joseph was in Egypt, and he rose up to basically taking the command over Egypt under Pharaoh. Okay. And so there was prophesied that there was going to be 7 lands of plenteousness and 7 lands of dearth. Okay, so right now we're reading when it was good, and it's going to turn bad. All right. Now this is Genesis 41 and 47. And the 7 plenteous years the earth, and in the 7 plenteous years the earth brought forth by handfuls, and he gathered up all the food of the 7 years which were in the land of Egypt, and laid up the food in the cities. The food of the field which was round about every city laid he up in the same. And Joseph gathered corn as the sand of the sea very much, until he left a numbering, for it was without number. And unto Joseph was born 2 sons before the year of famine came, which Asenath, the daughter of Pokai Forai, priest of On, bare unto him. And Joseph called the name of the first Manasseh, for God, saith he, hath made me forget all my toil in all my father's house. And the name of the second called he Ephraim, for the Most High has called me to be fruitful in the land of my affliction. And the 7 years of plenteousness that was in the land of Egypt was ended. And the 7 years of dearth, and that word dearth simply means famine, okay? And the 7 years of dearth began to come according as Joseph has said, and the dearth was in all lands, but in the land of Egypt there was bread. So in the land that was around Egypt, there was a great dearth, okay? But Egypt was doing this fine, really on behalf of Joseph, okay? And also because Joseph, was endowed with the knowledge of Yahweh by Shemel Shai, he was able to help the empire of Egypt survive through the famine by doing what? By storing food. And you see this contemporarily speaking. That's why there's food storages and things of that nature that people are gonna go to when they're doing bad. Okay, but this concept has always been around, and our forefather Joseph utilized it in time of a dearth, being prudent. Okay, so all the people that were in these various lands, these various countries, they had to come, or I should say, they had to go to Egypt. And we see the same thing going on now with the situation in Cali. The land of Cali's not doing very well, so there is a mass exodus. Okay, and this is an indicator of the times that we're living in. This is happening not only in the U.S., but it's happening worldwide. Look what's going on in Sri Lanka. Social unrest. The president has been, overthrown. Okay, and that's just one example. Because globally speaking, the economy is not doing well. Well, it's only going to amplify. These problems are not going to go anywhere, and they're not going to stop. Okay, so people are going to be running to places that are stable economically speaking, politically speaking. Okay, back to it. Genesis 41 and 55. And when all the land of Egypt was famished, the people cried to Pharaoh for bread. And Pharaoh said unto all the Egyptians, go unto Joseph, which he saith to you, do. And the famine was over all the face of the earth. And Joseph opened all the storehouses and sold unto the Egyptians, and the famine waxed sore in the land of Egypt. So then eventually it came upon Egypt. Right? But under the prudence of Joseph, guess what? Egypt was sustained. And the famine was over all the face of the earth, and Joseph opened all the storehouses and sold unto the Egyptians, and the famine waxed worse in the land of Egypt. And all countries, check this out, came to Egypt to Joseph. So all the countries had to come to Egypt for help, for to buy corn, because the famine was so and it's only going to get worse. I can. Whoo! It's only going to get worse, brothers. Through the spirit of Yahweh Shemi Habashah, we know this, we understand this. Okay, so we ourselves, we're getting ourselves ready for the said perils that's to come, man. You know, through the spirit of Yahweh Shemi Habashah, we welcome this, because we need all these things to happen. Okay, so that we can get the heck up out of here. Okay, let me get this. This has been coming up in my spirit a lot lately. This particular verse. All right, if I can find it for you all. 2 6:22. And he sown, and suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, for the storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. And this is going on now. I did a sit down on shrinkflation, how they're basically rationing our food, and unknowingly to the public, you know, we're getting items that's sold onto this that has less of the food that we're buying, but yet it costs more because of inflation. Okay, so a bottle that was once sold for $1.50, you know, has 32 ounces in it. That same bottle is sold for $2.06, and you're only getting 28 ounces, 26 ounces. Okay, why is that? Because the material is getting more and more strained, and eventually they're gonna come out outright and say, hey, we don't have certain food, we don't have certain items. That's going on. Baby formula is one that's not going anywhere, and that hurts, man. You have to go to store to look for food for your baby. Scary. You know what I'm saying? Not only that, but tampons, things of that nature. So things that are readily available that we that we don't think about, like water, when that start getting scarce, people gonna really start feeling it. And it's already set in motion for these trucks to start slowing down. So, you know, Cali just an indicator again of the climate, the economic climate of America, which is not doing very well. All right, so we're sitting back and we're watching as watchmen, and we're reporting. I pray this is edifying. Shalom.